Mats Nordstrom je umjetnik iz Toronta sa životnim stanicama u Njujorku, Lundu, Stokholmu i luštičkom selu Klinci. Iako je studirao matematiku, građevinu i biohemiju, izabrao je umjetnost i usavršavao se na Univerzitetu za umjetnost i dizajn Konstfak u Švedskoj. Radio je u vrhu modne fotografije i sarađivao sa Andyjem Warholom. Danas stvara na Luštici, u ateljeu punom tišine, mora i inspiracije. Ovo je njegova priča.
Well, I first came to New York in 1977, and I was freelancing for lots of people, among them Andy Warhol. And at the time, I don't think that he influenced me so much. It was more of it was a stomping ground for a lot of people. In New York at the time, 77, 78, was a different city than it is today. It was a bit wilder, and but over the years, you know, Andy's approach to work, the way he printed serigraphs, did influence me. And among many people, you know, the work started to take on a different flavor. I started painting. First, I worked mostly in photography, and then later sort of started working more with metal sculptures and the painting, as you can see here on the walls. These are more recent works. I think this is done this year, actually. And as you can see, it's very limited color, very monochromatic, and very seldom. I use a lot of black and white, but add colors, blue, red, very seldom yellow, you know, and mostly it's a splash, as you can see over there in the corner. It's more of a splash, an accent in the... and I started out with symbols. I really like the origin of communication, going back to Stone Age times, you know, what symbols, if it was toxic water, what symbols, how did you explain this? And so I like, I started with symbols. I like things that already have an understanding amongst common people, but then that change meaning over time.
Dok drugi traže savršenstvo u ponavljanju, Mats ga nalazi u trenutku. Njegov alat je staklo, boja, brzina. Pokret koji ne trpi oklijevanje.
You know, symbols, when you're painting something that already has a meaning to the general public, and I paint on glass. I start painting on glass, and then I move it over to either canvas or paper. Most often I start with painting on glass. It goes quick, and there's kind of a secret how you mix the paint, how it sticks to the glass, or if you use see-through plastics. You can see when you print on either canvas or paper. If you stay for a long time, the paint trickles into the paper, or on canvas it spreads out, or you can do it quick. So there's a little bit of an adventure going on as you do it. And then there's a time difference. So if I'm not happy with the first imprint, I go and do a second imprint on top of it, and afterwards I go in and with brush and pencil and different other media to get what I want. Well, this was made for Salvador Dali's, I think it was his 100th birthday. He was already dead, but so I was invited to participate, and he loved eggs. He loved the egg shape, and his house in Spain has big monumental eggs standing outside. So I used egg cartons, and then I whipped some dishwashing liquid, and you know, to unite myself with the celebration of Salvador Dali. And here again, you have the copyright symbol, but because it's I paint on glass, it's reversed. So you kind of ask questions about the copyright symbol. And in today's world, the copyright isn't what it used to be. It's very hard to protect anything. Now on the internet, people can take and choose.
U umu I rukama umjetnika forma se mijenja, značenje se preispituje, stvarnost redefiniše.
Is you know, the at symbol that I talked about earlier, and or reversed, painted on glass, then printed. So I like to take symbols, reverse them, and kind of ask questions about. It's immediately recognizable that it's an at symbol, but it's different. It's reversed. This here is part of a king and queen that I made, and I save, you know, I find parts and I bend them into shapes, and I find the playing cards as I walk my dog, and then I put it together. This is the queen, as you might see, and there's also a king somewhere. I don't know if it's behind here. Yes, you can see that's the king. We haven't found the original sculpture, so we just have the photograph right now. It seems very simple, and it's about life. And if you get 3 in a row, as in that case, you may win the game, but I make it so that nobody wins. I have a bigger, and it's something of an innovation. I didn't know in the beginning when I started painting the tic-tac-toe, you know, if it was really painting or if it was good enough to consider a painting, but eventually it became kind of an invention of a way to speak about painting, speak about life, because we all make choices, and we make choices every day, and hopefully we make the right choices. And sometimes we end up being winners and sometimes losers, you know. So this is the game of life, and that's how I see it.
Tokom svoje duge I dinamične karijere, Mats je pronalazio vremena da istražuje različite medije I umjetničke tehnike, no na njegov rad dijelom je uticao jedan od najistaknutijih američkih umjetnika I preteča američkog pop arta, Robert Rauschenberg.
This one here is, you know, I often like Rauschenberg, I like to collect things off the street, and sometimes it's paper. I think this is an egg carton, and this is a car part. And sometimes I bend it and make use of it, and with a little bit of imagination, you can, it almost, to me, it's like a face. It's an unorthodox face, a different face, but it's recognizable as some kind of weird person. It's a long time ago, these shoes, and I found when I met my wife, Susie, that you've met here today, I was wearing these shoes and they were wine-colored. So I decided to, as they got older, I decided to use them in a sculpture. If you, the way it's pointing now, of course you're going to heaven, and eventually I hope I will. But you can also put it sideways and you walk in a horizontal space. So yeah, and it's my gait. I measured, so this is the way I normally walk.
Više od samog slikarstva Matza privlači eksperimentisanje u koje ugrađuje stvarnost, ali i snove.
As I got older, my glasses tend to break, and I saved them. And one night I had a dream that I was going to make a sculpture of all of my old glasses. And I started mounting them, and but I mounted them in the dream. The aluminum was flat. And I couldn't understand why it looked more like an advertisement. And then one day I discovered that you have to put history into the background material. So I used 11 different tools to bang on it and to make holes, and then it's tended to work. This sculpture is called Through My Eyes.
Na luštici između kamena i tišine umjetnik pronalazi ostatke prošlosti. Metal, rđa, drvo, dijelovi nekadašnjih oružja više nisu samo predmeti, oni postaju simboli, novi znaci u vizuelnom jeziku.
This is actually found on the property here, and I don't know what time period this gun is from, but I'm guessing late 1800, maybe beginning 1910, 1920. These are definitely older. And when I started putting it together, you know, in an effort of thinking about peace, I decided to let the barrel go down. And this one came for, I was supposed to have a show in the Czech Republic, and my father was very sick. And, sorry. Okay. And this is the beach that I grew up on. And everything out here in the horizon, there's Denmark on the other side, and everything is the same. Except maybe the lighthouse has changed. It used to be a boat. But everything behind, you know, the village, the systems has changed. So it was a paradigm shift that started happening in my life. Instead of doing a more technical show in the Czech Republic. I did the bath huts, which then later became a book. And, you know, these bath huts were used to prepare yourself to go into the water. Now, you came with your city clothes on, and then you walked into the hut and you put on your swimming trunks, and out you went into the ocean. So it's a changing booth. As I already said, you know, I started in photography, and then I work both ways. These paintings are made from photography, but it was a process. That was a Dutch process. And it actually is acrylic on canvas. And that was the first move towards painting that I did. And then I had dreams for many years of making metal sculptures. And eventually that started happening. And this is one of the first ones where Coca-Cola became the symbol of the connective tissue to all of the... And as time has gone on, I've become simpler and simpler. The dancing people, tango, was something that I started maybe 4 or 5 years ago. Maybe it's longer than that. Maybe it's 6, 7 years ago. And I was going to make a sculpture for Luštica Bay, but then it didn't really happen. So I had a prototype, and one night I had a dream that I painted this. And I started, like over there, you can see that's tango. In the corner, and the closer piece. And I had, prior to this, and then I became more animated and wilder in the dancing, the emotions of dancing, the connectedness of people dancing together, feeling each other's emotions. And now I shift. Sometimes I do more photography, sometimes I do video, sometimes I paint, you know, and sometimes I just play the piano, it depends. So I move. Sometimes, you know, it's not so easy to paint, so I make short movies of I was fascinated once. I read Scientific American, and this guy had mixed dishwashing liquid and made bubbles, and then put it on a Xerox machine and took a picture every 3 minutes or so. And he discovered that this big bubbles always eat the small bubbles until the big bubbles are so big they can't hold together any longer. And then they dissolve into small bubbles, and the process starts all over again. And to me, that's a little bit what happens in corporate society, you know. Some corporations get incredibly large, and then they can't keep the books, and they don't know how to employ people any longer. And they end up being small companies, and the process starts again. And I think this is very natural. It happens. So I was very, so I have a couple of small films. I also like expansion and contraction. You know, when you fold a paper and you throw it on the ground, it enlarges after it lands on the ground. It again comes, especially plastics, they tend to open up again. And that's a fascinating process to me. You know, you can squish things really tight and then they enlarge. So expansion, contraction, I like these expressions and the physicality of it.
U rukama umjetnika stvar koja je nekada dijelila, sada povezuje.
You know, like the symbols that change over time, the reuse of something that had a different meaning and repurpose it into a new context. You know, I'm very happy to still have the passion to every morning get out into the studio and make new objects and I still dream about. Most of my work comes out of dreams. You know, what is it that I can use to tell my story, to tell my feelings, to tell what I feel about life.
Nordstrom je umjetnik koji ne traži definicije, već dijalog sa prostorom, sa vremenom, sa ljudima. Na konstataciju da neki umjetnike dijele na tragače i sveštenike kaže da se svrstava u prve.
I'm definitely a seeker, you know. I have lived the adventure of life and I'm still pursuing it every day. I'm not a preacher at all. I live for the adventure, for the emotions, for the action. I like to change over time, and sometimes you find yourself more comfortable with the music, and this year we've played a lot of music here. There's been a lot of people because of the situation in the world now that have come from different places, and they come together in Montenegro, and we have found each other, and actually many artists, Luda that runs the Alexander Gallery in Rose is also a fantastic artist, and so we have a whole neighborhood now of very creative people that are helping each other and inspiring each other.
Na Luštici i svjetlo je posebno, a ta posebnost utiče na njegov rad.
Light plays a big role in the work, even though, you know, there's very few shadows in my work, but the energy of light and the recognition of light as I see it plays a big part in the creation. Yes, absolutely. I try to follow, you know, right now it's dark after 6 o'clock or something like that, so I get up early. I have my coffee in the morning and then try to assemble myself to go into the studio. And as it gets dark in the day, I go and do other things, you know. So you live more with the light, and here you live more outside. You live with nature in a different way than you do in the city. You listen to the birds, you recognize the stars at night, and the insects that walk by, you know, it's part of life.
Umjetnost uzdiže iz osrednjosti, ima moć da umjetnika zaštiti od okolnog svijeta, ali i da poboljša svijet.
Being here is also to, the culture here has an impact on me, and showing in Budva again is part of me having an influence on the culture here. So I think it's very important for an artist to influence the culture of the place you live in. And then the art world, you know, goes on and on and on. Sometimes you peek your head into the bigger art world, but here, you know, you have an influence that has a great impact. I was at a Slava not long ago, and you know, I play the piano with open windows, and some of the neighbors over here when I'm playing, and one of the guys sitting across from me at the Slava says, "Oh, so you're Mats," and we had never met before, but he had heard the piano playing. So you know, not only do people influence me, but the way you live has an impact on the people that surround me here, and that's part of what an artist should do. I think is in the place you live to try to influence how people think and how people live their lives. What I play on the piano is very much the melody that I have when I paint. You know, there's a certain rhythm to painting also, and even if it's all quiet in the studio, there's a certain tempo that you think at, and that your brushwork has a certain rhythm to it. You approach the canvas or the paper maybe not as I drum, but you know, more so I play very emotional music. I improvise. I learned to play the piano very late in life, so I'm self-taught, and I make up the music as much as I make up the paintings I make, you know.
Njegov rad dio je umjetničkih kolekcija u eminentnim galerijama širom svijeta. Sada, iako daleko od velikih gradova, Nordstrom i na ovom tihom mjestu pronalaze kolekcionari i ljubitelji njegove umjetnosti.
You know, collectors come and stay for 3-4 days and select a couple of pieces. That's how it works for me. You know, there have been some people who flew in and stay for 3-4 days or just the afternoon, and the drummer in Coldplay bought one of my works, and he's been back for more. So yes, it's not an everyday occasion, of course, but yes, these things happen, and of course you need exposure, so I try to keep myself on the front lines, but mainly now I'm consumed by working. Sometimes have a show in a bigger city, and but for the most part, we have people come here, collectors who have collected my work over a time period, and so I keep in close touch, even though I don't have any of the social media, you know, all of that. I find it too consuming, and I'd rather spend my time on the creative end and be in the studio. Yeah, no, now it's more of making the last few statements and finishing the job that I started, and I feel incredibly inspired. I can't wait till the next day, go into the studio and start working again. I think so. I think, you know, you cannot be an artist unless you live like an artist. And here, more than in the city where you get interrupted most of the time, I've found a place for myself. And I was speaking to a gentleman yesterday, and he's into fine wines and olive oil, and you know, to make something that has all of the authentic ingredients of life is really a possibility here, and I feel incredibly inspired. You know, sometimes it's different all the time. Sometimes it's something that I find in the studio that I've collected that all of a sudden I see I can put it in a new context. But mostly I work of inspiration. I already have an idea of what I'd like to do, and you know, of course, when you have an idea, it takes, it has a life of its own. You know, until that idea is down on either canvas or paper, it changes, and sometimes the idea doesn't fly, but for the most part, it's the inspiration is already there. I have already seen something in my mind that I think I can contribute to what I want to say.
Mac je na Lušticu stigao prije 20 godina tragajući za posebnim mjestom i kupio čitav kompleks starih kamenih kuća u kojim se sada nalaze atelje, mjesto za stanovanje i tihovanje.
Well, we were lucky, you know, we had friends in Toronto that had pictures, and we thought it looked like an interesting place. And we came, and like everybody else, we looked in Perchan, we looked in Kotor, and eventually, you know, we found this place. And at the time, it was, there are no roofs on the houses, and it was very run down. And we started buying in 2003, and then started renovating in 2005 or 2006, and mostly finished. And we were lucky in many ways because Jovica Rasovic, our architect from Herceg Novi, was not only a good architect, but he became a friend. We sailed together, and we really enjoy this place. We enjoy the nature, we enjoy the quiet, we enjoy the walks, we enjoy the climate. You know, it's quite different than in Toronto. Toronto is very cold in the winter. Here it's 2 weeks of winter and then it's spring again. So yes, we love it here, and it's been very inspiring for me, especially in the studio. You know, I've been very creative here, and I am looking forward to, and I live here permanently now, and I'm looking forward to some more good years here. I have to say that, you know, as you see in my work, I don't work so much from the landscape and the surroundings, but we have felt very welcome here. The architect and his wife, Jasmina, we are great friends to this day, and we feel very welcome in the village of Klinci, and we have quite a group of friends here. The silence is something that makes my imagination come alive. So that's the creative part of being here for me. But above that, you know, we find the people here lovely, and not being in the big city, but being in the countryside has been very inspiring. You know, I think having the passion is really the accomplishment to enrich my life. You know, without the passion, that's the success in life. To wake up and feel energized. It's not about money. It's not about so much what you do as it is that you're passionate about.